The Other Side. By Osé Dergriff. The pastor had said to the woman that her son wanted burning and hell let loose. The words came back to the son himself. He had heard them with his own ears. He was furious. He complained bitterly and said he would tell the pastor off. But what surprised the pastor was not the young man's anger. It was that at 1 o'clock in the afternoon the man was in bed while his sick mother had not eaten, had not bathed, had not been cared for. The pastor was not entirely pleased with his own outburst. He knew his words had not come clothed in gentleness. But to hold them in that moment, had been like trying to contain a furnace. Pressure had been building for a long time. This was no child. This was a man of 35, still negligent in the care of his ailing mother. And so the pastor had been drawn in. He became her mouth, her driver, her shopper, her prescription pickup man. Almost everything. He did not do it because duty chained him there. He did it because kindness was in him, and the helpless have a way of calling forth the better part of a man. But even kindness, when long burdened, begins to strain under the weight of those who should help and do not. A man grows troubled when irresponsibility dresses itself in excuses. When he keeps hearing, "The load is heavy, I am doing my best." But is every claim of doing one's best to be believed simply because it is spoken? Surely not. For when a man has truly done his best, angels can do no better. Pilgrim knew this. He had been a caregiver himself. For 10 long years he had carried his child. Then suddenly she was taken from him. But her death was no easing of burden. Care gave way to grief, and grief too had to be carried. So Pilgrim knew that caregivers also need care. They too grow tired. They too need somewhere to lay down their souls and rest. That day he told his wife about the outburst. "But Pilgrim," she said, "you have got to do better." And perhaps she was right. But another question rose within him. Is there not a cause? Why are men so quick to condemn the eruption and so slow to examine the pressure that produced it? Why do they rebuke the response, yet overlook the neglect that provoked it? Why is the one who breaks under the weight judged more harshly than the one who helped make the weight unbearable? Then memory opened a little door. That very morning, while taking his wife to work, Pilgrim had seen a mother hen and her single chick crossing the road. He slowed almost to a stop and let them pass. He would do them no harm. Then he remembered something his mother once told him. As a child, he had taken a chicken to bed. By morning it was dead. In his sleep he had rolled over on it. Sad how bitterly the boy had cried when he awoke. And now, years later, some would think him hard. They saw only the pastor, the rebuker, the sharp voice. They did not know the child who cried over a dead chicken, nor the man who stopped for a hen and her chick, nor the father who had carried sorrow for years and then lost besides. But Pilgrim remembered the Lord. He overturned tables. He made a whip and drove men out. He spoke words that cut through pretense. There was tenderness in him, yes. But there was also fire, not the fire of wounded pride, but the fire that rises when holiness confronts abuse and truth can no longer whisper. That night Pilgrim lay in the dark and looked upward. What had he learned? That there is another side to these things. The side of the caregiver. To care for the sick, the weak, the disabled, the dependent. This is holy work, but it is heavy work too. It asks for the body, the nerves, the time, the patience, the money, the sleep. It asks and keeps asking. And when those who should share the burden withdraw into excuses, the weight falls more cruelly on the willing. It is easy to judge a moment, a sharp word, an outburst, a sentence spoken too hard. These are visible, so they are quickly condemned. But neglect is often quiet. Neglect can lie in bed while an old mother waits unfed. Neglect can leave a body unbathed and then complain at the tone of the one who noticed. Neglect can hide behind claims of effort while others bear the true cost. And because neglect is quiet, many fail to name its cruelty. Pilgrim knew his outburst was not pure. A man must govern his spirit. He must answer for his words. He must not call weariness righteousness. But neither should judgment be shallow. It is a poor justice that rebukes the flame and never asks who kept stacking the wood. There are sins of eruption, and there are sins of abandonment, and sometimes the quieter sin is the more merciless one. For what wounds more deeply in the end? The harsh word of the one carrying too much, or the indifference of the one who should have carried something and chose instead to rest? God sees it all. He sees the errands. He sees the drives. He sees the waiting rooms. He sees the groceries, the baths, the prescriptions, the calls, the burdens quietly absorbed. He sees the sigh swallowed before it becomes complaint. He sees the compassion that kept standing after strength began to bow. This, too, Pilgrim learned. Kindness is not weakness, and exhaustion is not cruelty. A good man may be pressed until his words lose shape. That does not make every eruption right, but it does make it human. The one who exploded may need correction. The one who neglected may need rebuke. And the one who has been carrying the weight may need mercy. There is, after all, another side. The side of the one who stays. The side of the one who lifts. The side of the one who keeps showing up when others withdraw. That side must not be forgotten. And lying there in the dark, Pilgrim understood enough. That restraint is good, that gentleness is better than wrath, that a man must watch his spirit. But that sometimes the deeper wrong is not the angry word that was spoken, but the lovelessness that made it possible.